everyone, good morning. I hope you are all well, and yeah, everything's good wherever you are watching in the world, and whatever channel you're watching on, social media or YouTube. Yeah, so I'm going to jump straight into this because I want to try to not extend it too long. It's such a vast topic. It truly is fascinating, the topic of portals, and so I kind of don't really know where to start, so I've had to make some notes so that I can try to stay on point and not end up doing a 2-hour a 2-hour talk. So I like literally just to keep it as short and sweet as I possibly can within the context of the vastness of this. It's totally fascinating. So some of you may be familiar, or many of you watching may be familiar with portals and the concept of portals, and understand the different contexts of portals and how they show up in different contexts. So what I'm going to try and keep on point today is just talking about in relation to what I shared on social media yesterday, when I was talking about the 12 primary portals that we have, the 12 stargates that many people are familiar with, and more people that are more familiar with the 7 portals, the 7 stargates within our planetary Templar. And these portal ways are at specific grid points, specific entry points, and they're relative to, they're really primary energetic centers where there are said to be interdimensional or galactic or off-planet traveling. So researchers have really been studying this extensively, because there's a lot of spiritual woo about it, and there's a lot of people who are familiar with the aliens and all of these different concepts of how off-planet beings travel through through the different time matrices, through the different universal galactic fields, planet to planet, etc., etc. But ultimately, there's a lot of, if you were to research or Google, the kind of information from the UFO specialists, the alien specialists, who literally this is their life work, they claim that we do have multiple. Some of them say that we have up to 50 portals within our planetary body, and these are literally portals that connect us to different realms, to different dimensions, to other time vectors, and even to planetary, to parallel, other parallel worlds or parallel realities. Also, there's talk that they're connecting us to multiverses and different galaxies outside of the galaxy that we are a part of. And I think many are familiar with the Bermuda Triangle and all of the mysteries around the Bermuda Triangle, where ships and planes have gone missing, and what the conclusion that most of these ufologists have come to, and the researchers, is that it is a portal, and these ships and planes have been sucked into other realities, parallel realities. So yeah, it's fascinating to get into this kind of concept. And they say that a lot of these portals are located in remote parts of the world. Like, you literally wouldn't find one. I mean, there are portals in cities, absolutely, but they tend to be in more remote locations and areas where there is a high frequency, which is of course why they build a lot of temples, and ancient sites are built upon these specific portals. So we've got 12 primary portals that we're familiar of, 12 stargates, and we've also got mini portals, or mini what they call Q sites, or Trinity. There's Trinity gates as well, and they're literally all cross points within the planetary grid that allow frequency and energy. They're literally vacuums, and they carry frequency. They carry streams of frequency. They can also, there are positive portals and there are negative portals. So they can be used for good, they can be used for bad. You know, they're still trying to gather evidence about all the different anomalies within the magnetic fields, within the magnetosphere, because we've not just, you know, these portals don't just exist within the planetary body, within the planetary Templar. You know, these are portals that are supposedly in all the planetary bodies that are literally part of our galaxy, part of our universe, and part of the multiverse. So as I mentioned on in my post yesterday in social media, I believe that this is actually the real study of the CERN and the Large Hadron Collider, that they're literally blowing wormholes in the magnetosphere. They're testing the theories within what ancient civilizations have known for eons about these various portals, and that they have depicted themselves in their art and their various mythologies and the ancient scriptures and texts that we have seen around the world that archaeologists and anthropologists have uncovered. So this is like, for me, these guys are trying to test the theory of blowing these wormholes in the sky, and testing the theory of what actually happens when they open a portal. Because ultimately a portal is, it's literally, depending on the nature of the portal, there can be like a rip in time, or, you know, it's a vacuum, and quite often they are opened during really intense planetary activity. So there will be multiple portals within the sun body, there'll be multiple portals within the moon body, and all the different planets around. So when we're having extreme activity from the solar flares and things like this, I feel that these can absolutely activate and open portals as well. But portals can also be opened through ritual and ceremony. A lot of people are not really aware of what they're doing when they're having their rituals, they're having ceremonies. You know, many people are aware that they're opening portals, many people are not aware that they're opening portals. And as I said, these portals can be used for positive intentions, for negative intentions, but ultimately it's important, you know, if you are opening portals and you are inviting energies to come through the portals, that it's really important that you know what you're doing, and that, you know, that you also close the portal when you finish, so you're not leaving this vacuum open for things that we don't want to come through. You know, we can have portals on the specific parts of land. We can have portals in our homes. We can have portals in our business. They say that there are portals in mirrors. They can be in hidden corners and cupboards and such. And so when we're building, I mean, these portals can have been in place for eons, for millennia. It's not just something that we can open and close portals periodically, but these portals can be, specifically the Stargates and the Trinity gates and the Q sites and all these other portals that are around and within the planetary body. These are portals that have been opened and activated. They're literally close and open periodically, depending on the frequencies. And they've been around for millennia. I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess, but potentially billions of years, millions of years, and they open and close periodically. When it comes to the 12 stargates, the 12 primary stargates, some of you who saw my post on social media yesterday in my group will have seen the Cathara grid planetary stargates that I shared. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you want the diagram or the information with these, the longitude and latitude of these stargates, I can send that over, or I'll pop a link below and you can hop on and you can find that within my groups. But ultimately, with these specific stargates, they say that they activate every 26 or so thousand years, and it's all to do with specific celestial events that take in place. They're called stellar activation cycles. And basically, when there is a huge specific celestial event where there's particularly planetary alignments and other things that can be happening, that this particular celestial event takes place. And we had supposedly the last stellar activation cycle was during the year 2000 and 2017. They say when the stargates come online, or they're all reactivated, that they are activated and they're kind of open for approximately 17 or so years. And this is coming from the work of my teacher, who I've been following for the last 5 years, 6 years now. Some of you may be familiar with Ashiana Dean and the Freedom Teachings. If not, you can find a lot of information about the work that she's doing out there. She's very much goes really deep into like the physics of all of this. I mean, I'm not a physician, I'm not a specialist, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a physician in relation to stargates and stars and things like this. I just find it all completely fascinating. I've always fascinated as a kid with aliens and stars, and I think a lot of us who feel like we have landed here thousands of years ago from other star systems are probably more so attracted to the stars and everything than your kind of regular earthbound souls, the earther souls. But ultimately, yeah, it's for me, I find it super fascinating. But ultimately, these stargates as they're gateways for energies to travel through, and that means not just spirit energies, but also collective energies. You know, collective thought forms can travel through these portals, and this can be positive energy. We can have waves of positive energy that are literally, like I said, when we have these, when we're participating in celestial events, let's say like the equinoxes, or let's say solstices, you know, people are going to these events and opening portals, or they're actually gathering in areas like Stonehenge where there are already portals. There is said to be one of the stargates, the planetary stargates, is around the Stonehenge area. And there are said to be two stargates in the UK, one in Westbury and the one in, I think it's Vale of Pusey. I can't remember without looking at the diagram. But there's different, you know, there's these different grid points, and of course Stonehenge is a really popular World Heritage Centre. It's protected, go figure. I think actually if you look at all of these areas on the diagram that I shared yesterday, with the longitude as well, all of these areas are actually protected World Heritage Sites. Why is that? You know, they're not just protected for no reason. And I believe also this is why we have been experiencing all of these wars, because there are controllers out there who want to have control of the land upon which these stargates are said to be located. And Iran is one area. There's a stargate in Iran. There's also a Q site in Iraq. There's a Q site or a Trinity site around Afghanistan area. I mean, these are all areas where we've had in Syria, Egypt, You know, these are all areas that have been prime targets of, you know, people trying to take over, specific bodies trying to take over land. So these are the portals that we have in the planetary body, and these are the primary stargates, and then we've got hundreds and thousands of portals that have been activated around the world. Somebody, one of my friends actually commented on my post yesterday about the Pope, who was around Christmas time opening portals, and I just shared the information about that as well, that he was literally activating different portals in and around specific sites. Again, for what reason, we're not sure. I mean, the popes and priests and these kind of high-level beings who are purportedly activating portals for the good, inviting the energies of God and Jesus through, who knows what they're actually inviting through and what their agenda is. I really truly hope that they're only inviting organic energies through, and they're not inviting, you know, inorganic, artificial energies through. But yeah, who knows? Because, you know, there are also we've had multiple Star Wars, galactic wars throughout millennia, and a lot of these Star Wars have been primarily to have control of the Stargates. Yeah, that's another, I could talk about that topic for hours as well. But ultimately, a lot of these portals are open to other timelines, they're open to other realms, other dimensions, they're open to other time vectors. And we can, you know, we have all these different portals within the planetary body that are open to other dimensions and time vectors, again, that periodically open and close. But we also have portal ways within our own hologram through our own experiences, which I'll come on to in a minute. But ultimately, a lot of what shows up a lot in my work, because I do readings and I teach people to do readings for properties and businesses and land, and a lot of these, you know, the properties that we're doing readings for and the land that we're doing readings for, specifically like retreats and festivals where there's a lot of kind of ceremonial activity, churches, sacred grounds and things like this. There's a lot of ceremonial activity, so a lot of portal ways, they can be opened purposely or accidentally. And again, depending on the nature of the ceremony, it can you know, invite positive, beautiful, positive beings who are here serving us, assisting us, helping us. But also when we get into the more satanic kind of rituals that have been taking place around the world, as we're all aware of, then of course, then we're inviting potentially negative beings through. And there is a heck of a lot of space junk out there at the minute. I think this has been really prevalent for the last few, particularly the last 10 years or so, because obviously we are experiencing shifts in consciousness. We've got a lot of, you know, the solar activity has intensified. We've got a lot of plasma frequencies coming through at the minute. I teach about all this in my plasma training, in my Akashic trainings, my quantum trainings. And ultimately, because of the heightened plasma activity that's been coming through, it has created a massive shift in frequency, and the veils between the dimensions, as we all know, the veils are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. So there's going to be more potential for interdimensional travel for all of us. You know, I think a lot of us, people specifically who, my friends and clients and colleagues that I talk about this kind of thing with, that we're really having super intense, bizarre dreams at the minute, because there's, yeah, we're just picking up a lot of activity in the astral, this is as far as I experience. And I think some of this activity that we're picking up in the astral could be experiences from our own, from other time vectors, from other dimensions, from other realities, but also we could be, of course, picking up the activity of what's happening, you know, in the world around us. But it's, you know, when we personally have portals open through our own experiences, then we can leave ourselves, you know, we can be vulnerable to experiencing, you know, entity interferences and psychic attacks. And but again, I just want to be really clear that a lot of the psychic attacks that we have, the majority of the psychic attacks and intrusions that we experience are, it's just energy from the collective. It's not necessarily that, you know, there's actually a being attacking you. This, of course, yes, can happen, but there's a lot of energy out there who are collectives, you know, we're collectively creating all the time different thought entities, and we're manifesting these thought entities. And, you know, if a specific society or culture has a specific thought about something, that will create an entity, because it literally it creates a vacuum of energy that becomes its own entity. And the more it's fed, the more it's nourished by the thought, by the energy. Let's say for anger, for example, you know, when there's any wars and genocides that we've been seeing around the world, anger energy, you know, we can start feeling that within the collective. And when we've got these portals open, these energies can travel through the portals. Particularly, the energies are traveling through the streams, through the grid lines, through the ley lines within the planetary body. And these energies are traveling through, and they literally are activated wherever there's a portal opening. So we can suddenly have this wave. I'm sure most of us who are watching this, we've experienced where we've suddenly had like this intense rage or intense anger or an intense feeling of trauma or terror or grief, and not knowing where it's coming from, because we could have absolutely picked up you know, an entity, a quantum of energy that's literally traveled through a specific stream underneath the planetary grid. And the controllers, the frequency fencers out there, our self-proclaimed powers that be, they are fully aware of this. And this is why a lot of time when we're trying to do peaceful protests and gatherings, they literally will dictate where the protests and the gatherings go, because they want to. They send everybody there because they want to harness the energy. They're literally using the energy. So yeah, they can. You know, they can actually manipulate this. And these portals, you know, these vacuums of energy that are being projected through these streams. You know, when a negative energy is coming through, that it's been traveling through a specific ley line, for example, then for me they're toxic streams. It's literally a toxic stream. But as I said, we can also have waves of like beautiful energy, positive energy traveling through these streams as well. So yeah, this is something that, as I said, the ancient civilizations have known about for millennia. Like, let's take Giza, for example, the pyramids, and, you know, the energies that are being received through the, you know, the pyramids were built specifically for this. You know, pyramids are portals. A lot of if you go back to Sumerian and look at all the Sumerian architecture, all of this ancient architecture had these beautiful ethers on top of the cathedrals, on top of all the buildings, because they were energy generators. And pyramids are energy generators. Temples, churches, they were all built as energy generators to literally pull energy in. But what we've seen over the last 100 or so years, if not 200 years, is a lot of these ethers, these energy creators, and these specific, the symbology, the ether symbology that was on top of a lot of these sacred buildings has literally been taken down, because they don't want us receiving this life force energy. I mean, this is literally like the universal Kundalini energy, and it's how we receive our life force. It's how we receive solar energy and the universal energy. And of course, a lot of it's been taken down. I mean, look at the buildings now. They're just ugly, square, concrete, yeah, they're just not pretty anymore. But ultimately, we can still generate, like we can literally activate our own positive portals. You know, you can create and activate a positive portal in your own home if you know what you're doing. But if you don't really know what you're doing, then I would not recommend that you go out there and start opening portals, unless you really, you know, do some training on it or do some research on it or work with somebody that knows, you know, what they're actually doing. And they're literally just, you know, setting the precedent for organic energies only to come through these portals. But yeah, I mean, these portals, they are an organic part of our the quantum mechanics within the universe. And as I said, they are literally activated through specific grid points within the electromagnetic body of the planet, and particularly where we've got like cross points, ley lines, and you know, specific grid points. So they are, you know, what a portal is basically a spiraling, it's literally just a spiraling electromagnetic doorway that's said to connect multiple locations. It can connect 2 locations, it can connect more locations, but ultimately to other dimensions, other time vectors, and also different points in time. So it really is a fascinating topic. They can open within several layers of several different realities, within the astral worlds, within our physical body, within the astral body, within interstellar space, within the fabric of space-time, into alternate realities. There are systems on our planet, there are specific implants placed within and on our planetary body that have been placed to literally activate these specific stargates and portals within the planetary body for positive usage, that have been unfortunately taken over by the nefarious agendas and have been corrupted and distorted. But and this has happened with the various stargates, with all the 12 primary stargates that I was talking about previously. And there's, you know, we've had like artificial technology placed over these portals to literally shut the portals, close the portals, or disrupt the portals. But yeah, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of grid workers out there and light workers who are literally traveling around to these specific portals, especially even more so since 2012, that we've had a lot of people who are literally just doing this work. And the work of Ashiana Dean, you know, she's spent kind of 15 years traveling around to these different grid points with hundreds and hundreds of her students and followers who have literally gone out there specifically to help to restore and realign these actual grid points that have been distorted by artificial intelligence, that have been literally just implanted with these negative implant systems that are literally there to create distortions in electrostatic within the planetary field. So these are all also toxic streams, and this is something that comes up a lot in my readings when I'm doing readings for businesses and properties that are toxic stream. That there can be toxic streams underneath specific bodies of land that can literally create nervous system dysregulation because of the toxicity that's been magnified out of these toxic streams that are running underneath people's houses or underneath people's lands. So we can go to specific land points and feel like supercharged, feel really like we go to specific, like I said, whether it's the ocean or specific landmarks like Stonehenge, and feel really, really good there because we've had, you know, there's a lot of positive activity, there's really nice things happening. And then we can go to other places where we just feel like, ooh, we get the EBGBs because we can feel there's something dark that has been taking place there. particularly when I do the readings for homes, I always check to see if there has been, where people have reported that they've got strange activity in their home, whether they feel like there's just some spirit disturbances, or they just feel like there's just some off energy. And quite often they could be, the land that their property has been built on could have been used for satanic rituals. It could be like previously used as sacred land where they were doing positive and negative rituals. It could have been a burial ground, it could have been a battleground, and there can still be a lot of lost wayward souls around, because that's the other thing. When we've got all these portals activated, then there are thousands and thousands and thousands of wayward souls out there, just lost. They perhaps they didn't have a belief system, so they didn't know where to go when they passed away, or they died suddenly. I mean, this is another topic that I'll do that next time when I'll get into a topic of discarnate souls and wayward souls. But there's a lot of lost souls out there, and there's a lot of misguided souls out there. There's a lot of souls that have been hijacked. There's a lot of fragmented soul energy out there that's causing a disturbance through trauma that these specific souls have experienced. And so, all of this energy can be vacuumed into specific portals. And so we can really feel that energy. But also when we have, in other lifetimes, or even in our childhood, when we have unresolved trauma or unresolved wounds, whether it's with an experience that we've had with a loved one that was never healed, never resolved, the karma it's literally a karmic continuation, or it's a specific trauma that we may have experienced in another lifetime, where we may have been we may have tragically lost our life through nefarious reasons or through activities, traumatic activities, traumatic events, and we suddenly lost our lives, or we've just, whatever it is, unresolved pain and trauma. This is something that shows up a lot in my readings. And quite often, when there's an unresolved trauma or an unresolved wound, or there's a karmic contract still open that's playing out within another timeline or time vector in another lifetime, quite often there can be a portal open to this particular timeline. Specifically when there are quantum entanglements with other souls. If we've had some experience with, as I said, with a loved one that's gone unresolved, so we can absolutely have quantum entanglements, and this often leaves a portal open. Not always, but it can leave a portal open. So again, when I go and do my readings, then I always look for portals to see if there's any portals open, because when there is a portal open, what it can mean is, if there is an unresolved issue with a loved one from a previous lifetime, then we can still be engaging with this other soul in this other lifetime. I know it sounds crazy, but I've experienced this myself, and it's a truly, truly fascinating topic that, we can be repeatedly experiencing this in a dream state, or we can suddenly be feeling unexplained energies that are not even ours. These energies could be energies that we're feeling somebody else's energy, we're feeling somebody else's trauma, because there's a portal open to another timeline where we experience something with another soul, or we have experienced, there's a quantum entanglement with another soul. So I talked about soul fragmentation previously, and I talked about quantum entanglements previously. So this is kind of like the third part of it, where it's all interconnected, because if we have a portal open, then we have left fragments of our consciousness, or fragmented aspects of our soul, in this other time vector. And these fragments can be traveling to and from, backwards and forwards from this time vector. And so it could leave us feeling you know, really depleted, because it's like our soul is literally just traveling through this space-time into these other realities. So yeah, it's really a fascinating topic, but it's really important that, you know, when we have these portals open, that obviously we need to close them. You know, we can work on healing the wound, you know, resolving the issue, and then ultimately it's closing the portal way. But we can also close the portal way without healing the wound, because closing the portal way will help to heal the wound, because it'll allow, if there's a portal way open and a quantum entanglement with two souls, let's say a past life mother or a past life father that we've experienced within another lifetime, then it's literally keeping these two energies entangled. So neither of the souls, like for example my soul with my past life mother, neither of us are in a space of wholeness and completion, because we've still got portions of our consciousness interacting and entangling and stuck in some, perhaps a trauma bonding or some trauma enmeshment. And like, you know, if I'm experiencing or feeling what, you know, the energy of that particular trauma or that particular event, and also likewise in another time vector, my past life mother, wherever, you know, her soul is currently, is also feeling. So it's literally holding us back, and it's quite often why a lot of us can't move on, and we find that we feel like we've worked on specific things. And this can be prevalent in childhood as well, our childhood stories, that we can have portal ways open to our subconscious that are keeping us locked in childhood stories and childhood timelines and quantum entanglements with, you know, with people that we were together with in school, or with our parents, with our siblings, etc. And these, you know, these portals that are open to these other timelines and these entanglements are also holding us back. You know, it's quite often why we're not fully healing, because there's this part of our consciousness is literally entangled within this specific timeline. So yeah, let me know how that resonates with you, if you've experienced you know, if you've experienced anything, if this is familiar to you, because ultimately when we have these portals open and we have these quantum entanglements, as I said, we can leave ourselves vulnerable to entity intrusions, astral intrusions, to psychic attacks. We've all experienced psychic attacks and psychic hooks where we've had, you know, especially, you know, more so, let's talk about in this lifetime, we've had difficult, challenging relationships with, whether it's been with our siblings, with previous partners, and we can feel like we've got these hooks in our field. You know, so it's not just that we're experiencing this with spirit, but also we can be experiencing these entities from, you know, from our living, you know, people that we've been entangled with in this lifetime, you know, hooks and entities that have been projected towards us, negative intentions, you know, hexes where people have wished ill things upon us, or whether we've wished ill things upon other people. You know, these are all energies that create a vacuum, which can literally create or open a portal that can keep us entangled with other souls. And quite often we don't even realize what we're doing, as I said, because ultimately these, you know, these portals, they can cause rips in space-time, you know, within the fabric of space-time. So it's really important that, for me, I find it's a really important topic, and why I wanted to talk about it a little bit today, just bringing it into the, you know, into the collective. As I say, it's something I normally just talk about in my trainings, and because obviously we're looking for portals, we're looking for entanglements, you know, we're looking at all the different experiences that you know, that individuals can have that literally can keep people locked in unresolved stories and in having night terrors. You know, if you've got a portal way open to a childhood trauma, or there's a negative portal open to, and when we say negative, just because there's an unresolved trauma or an unresolved event that's happened in another lifetime, in another time vector, and ultimately we can be having night terrors and negative astral travel as a result of this as well. So there's a lot of symptomatic energies that we could have as a result of this. So yeah, it really is a completely fascinating topic, and ultimately this, it's, as I said, when we've got these portals open and our soul energy is literally traversing backward and forwards through these other timelines because we're stuck in this experience, then yeah, we're going to experience fragmentation. We're going to be depleted, because our energy is fragmenting. We're losing portions of ourselves, and as I said, we're leaving ourselves susceptible to picking up all of the negative energies, negative entities, and finally, I wanted to, let me just see where I am talking about. Yeah, when it comes to the planetary, the portals in the planetary body, when we're talking about the sun plasma and being exposed to, we've literally got the electromagnetic shield around the planetary body which protects us from the sun radiation. But when you've got these artificial intelligences that are blowing wormholes in the stratosphere, then we are potentially damaging we are literally creating rips in the planetary body, and so we can literally be feeling all of the distortions, filaments that are filtering through, that are causing like toxic streams within the planetary body, within the electromagnetic field, that is also going to overstimulate our nervous system. And yeah, I really think that a lot of us are feeling this. We are feeling this on a positive level because we're having all these amazing activations as well as a result of the sun plasmas. We're literally having our DNA strands activated, all the fire codes within all the subharmonics within the DNA strands. We're having a lot of these being switched back on, which is why a lot of people are waking up. But ultimately, we can also be feeling the radiation toxicity from that. And I don't mean radiation that's harming us, but it's literally overstimulating. It's frying our circuits. So yeah, it's fascinating to understand the concept of. I'm not a quantum physics specialist at all, but I can also, my logic brain, my intelligence tells me that this is not something that is being done for the benefit of the planet, because when they're opening and directing plasma energies through these portals, then it can also literally create it's disrupting our own electromagnetic field. It's affecting our light body. It's affecting the natural symbiosis within our light body, because ultimately, the electromagnetic field of our planet is a light body. The sun is a light body. So all of these, portals and rips that they're blowing through, the Large Hadron Collider, and all of the HARP technology that they're using, all this artificial intelligence that is literally implanted into specific parts of the grid, it's not doing the planet any good. And this is why we're having all these earthquakes and eruptions and fires. I know quite a lot of the fires are, as they're talking about the direct energy weapons, but ultimately that's another topic. but you know, we're experiencing a lot of crazy activity within the planetary body, and I really do feel that a lot of it is because of all of this, you know, this research that they're doing. Yeah, all in the name of research, all in the name of science. But ultimately, yeah, it's really important, as I said, just to be aware when you're doing a ritual, when you're performing any ritual, that you are aware, like I said, that you are creating a torsion in your field. And it's really important that you make sure that you're just working with organic energy, and, you know, communicating with organic energy, just making that intention that you're working only with organic energy, that anything inorganic is disallowed, and be really, really specific with your, you know, with your intentions of what you're doing, so that you're not, you know, creating like negative torsions and negative portals, that the portals are positive and they're used for positive, yeah, just to literally sending waves of positive energy, which is what we do again when there's a bunch of people that come together and send a wave of love and light and positivity to specific areas of the grid. We're literally opening a portal, a beautiful positive portal, and sending, you know, it's creating, because it's just a vacuum, so a vacuum of energy that's been sent out will open a portal. And so these are like positive, you know, as I'm talking about, we can have positive and negative portals. So these are positive portals that are used for positive, you know, the high frequency, and they're used for beautiful things like this, and not, you know, using them to pull portions of our planetary body into specific negative black holes and wormholes, etc., etc. Anyway, I will leave it there. I could continue talking about this forever. It really is fascinating. But yeah, I hope that you found this equally as fascinating. If there's anything that I missed, let me know. Pop a comment underneath this video, wherever you're watching, whether you're watching it in my group on social media or whether you're watching it in YouTube. If you've got a question, pop a question, and I'll try to answer you as best I can. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it. So I will leave it there. Thank you all for watching. For anybody who's watching on the replay, drop a hashtag replay if you're watching it in my Facebook group to let me know you've watched it. And yeah, drop me a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Let me know how interested you are in this topic. If you want to go deeper into it, then yeah, I talk a lot more about it, where we're identifying these portals and entanglements and fragmentations and things within individual bodies and within the planetary body, when we're going into you know, healing grid points, land points, festivals, etc. Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. So yeah, I look forward to hearing back from you, and yeah, sending you all some love, and I'll speak to you soon. See you on the next Discourse. Have a beautiful rest of your day.